Hello and happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another stream here on our American Family Insurance DreamBank page. My name is Hannah and I'm a Dreamcator here at the DreamBank. And before we get started today, I wanted to mention our upcoming virtual Dream Summit. This special signature program is a free virtual experience designed to help you discover and revitalize your dreams in the company of a supportive, engaged community of like-minded dreamers. Some of our featured speakers include Glennon Doyle, Tan France, the Scott brothers, Daniel Pink, and Chef Jeff Henderson. So to learn more about the event and reserve your spot, you can visit our website, www.amfam.com/dreambank, and I'll put it in the chat in case you didn't catch that with how fast I just talked. But back to our event today. This afternoon, I had the honor of introducing our featured speaker, Katie Hill. Katie is a rebel wellness educator and champion of self-care, a 3-time cancer survivor. Katie knows firsthand the critical role of self-care in health, wellness, and quality of life. In 2019, she started Rebel Wellness, a coaching and consulting business that empowers people to take responsibility and control of their health, wellness, and daily habits. She leads retreats locally and internationally that focus on yoga, mindfulness, self-care, and personal empowerment. She has given presentations, seminars, and keynote talks on self-care, mindfulness, and stress management at Google, Target, American Express, Delta Airlines, and many startup organizations that value the well-being of their employees. After living in LA, San Francisco, Detroit, Austin, Chicago, and New York City, Katie finally understands that she is a Wisconsin girl at heart and now lives permanently in Madison, where she paddleboards around the lakes, bikes the trails, and has grown to love at least 2 months worth of winter. If you have any questions throughout the event, leave them in the comments and we'll get to your questions at the end. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming our fantastic speaker this afternoon, Katie Hill.
Thank you, Hannah. Welcome, everybody. I'm so honored to be able to talk to you today. I want to start my self-care talk with just a moment of everybody. If you're watching this now or you're watching it later on, take a deep breath and fully exhale. Here we are. So today, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about self-care. You can take the next slide, Hannah. Okay, so I have been working in or involved in the self-help, self-care community for a very, very long time. And a lot of people, and myself included, equate self-care with being selfish, right? Self-care is selfish, self-indulgent, something that, only privileged people do. It's a bubble bath now and again, a massage, a retreat, yada, yada, yada. And those things are really not true, right? My argument is that self-care is not selfish, right? In fact, it is mandatory, it's necessary, and it's a part of our health and wellness. And so while the word self-care kind of may sit a little with some people, even me, I think of it as taking responsibility and taking charge of your own health. Okay, so I'm going to share on the next slide, this is the Debbie Downer part of the presentation, right? But right now, we are really in trouble. Okay, we've got 14.8 million Americans who are experiencing a major bout of depression at least one time per year. You can do the next. There are an estimated 96,801 drug overdose deaths in the United States between the year of February 2020 and February 2021. One person every 7 minutes dies from suicide in the US. 21 million Americans suffer from at least one addiction. The pandemic has not made this better. So if you look at all of the statistics, the pandemic has kind of made everything go up. This is a particular study by the CDC that just shows the causes of, or the spike in anxiety and depression over time, right? And so if you look at where we were in January of 2019 and where we are in December of 2020, it's increased in terms of anxiety and depression, and people are feeling this change and all of the stresses of our lives at a whole new level now. Okay, so you can do the next one. Safe to say, we're not okay, right? As a culture, we're not okay. As individuals, you know, a lot of us are struggling, and self-care is what I'm going to argue one of the most important things you can do to really take care of yourself. If you are sick or depressed or suffering or anxious or any of those things, it's very difficult for you to be not only, you know, thriving in your own life, but it's very difficult for you to be there for other people as well. So what I'd like you to do just in this moment, and next slide, please, is think a little bit about what you think self-care is. So for me, self-care is personal, right? From one to another, it's very different. Nourishing, okay? It makes you feel healthy, and go right ahead to the next one, rejuvenating and necessary. And it's a choice. And even more importantly, it's a responsibility. So I have talked about wellness and meditation and mindfulness at many companies. And even the most progressive workplaces, it's very rare for people to come and say, okay, Katie, you need to take some time off for self-care. Like it's not going to happen, right? We have a lot of things going on in our lives. And so what I have found is that if you don't take charge of your own self-care, nobody's going to, right? No one is going to come in and say like, all right, what do you do for your self-care today? Of course, unless you know me, then I ask that question an awful lot. So in terms of self-care, it's like, what is it? What does it mean, right? So going back to the idea that it's very, very personal, right? It means different things to different people. Next slide, Hannah. So I want you just to take a moment and think about what makes you feel nourished, healthy, energized, and joyful. And what I'm going to do is go to the next slide, okay? And I'm just going to ask you, if you have a pen or paper, write down 3 to 5 things that you consider to be self-care. And if you'd like, you can plop some of those in the comments or in the chat, and Hannah will take a moment to read a few of them. But while I'm waiting for you guys to write some stuff down, I'll share with you what mine are. So next. All right, nature for me is self-care, going for a walk outside, reading a great book, getting enough sleep, having fruits and veggies in the house. Now you'll notice that I don't say that I'm eating the fruits and veggies, just having them in the house makes me feel like I'm taking good care of myself. Spending time with my best friend. Going to yoga for me is the ultimate self-care. I like to color. I like drinking lemon ginger water, riding my bike, delegating household chores. So I don't have to be the one that does everything, but I'm very good about delegating to the members of my family. Painting my toenails crazy colors. Oh, I guess that was the last one. That was the most important one.
We did have a few people share in the chat. Did you want me to read them out loud?
I would love it.
Okay, Angie said going for a walk in nature.
Mhm.
Robert said trail ride on my horse. So a lot of nature
Oh,
things here.
oh, yes, animals. Holy cow. Yes.
And Jessica said time alone, fresh air. And Joyce said sleeping, pampering, and loving myself.
Yeah, those are all awesome. So you'll notice that nobody said scrolling the internet, worrying about what's on CNN, checking your email. Like, we know what we spend our time doing, right? Oftentimes. But the things that really nourish us, that make us feel like we are the most healthy, are the things that we tend to blow off until tomorrow, right? And that's one of the things that I want to encourage you from this conversation is to stop that and start taking care of yourself. So what I'm going to do is share with you 7 practical, and I'm going to say proven by me, proven by many people, self-care practices. Okay. And before we go to the first one, I want to introduce this idea that self-care is a practice. It is not a destination. It's not something that just happens. It's something that we actively have to practice. So sometimes it like everything feels like it's easy, right? It's easy to take a trail ride with your horse. It's easy to go for a walk in nature. But other times it's not so easy. And we have to really focus on it or pull ourselves kind of back from the brink to remember what's important to our health and wellness. So let's go to the first one. All right. So if you are like many Americans, you might sleep with your phone next to your bed, might be your alarm clock. And how many of you roll over and look at your phone before you even wake up? So one of the practices that I really recommend for everybody that I work with, because it changed my life dramatically, is taking control of your morning. So what I mean by that, right, is that if you roll over and check your work email before your eyes are even fully open, your job is controlling your whole day. Like you're kicking it off with just a hit of stress, right? Um, the truth of the matter is, right, is we can control our entire morning until we choose to start to work. Okay. And this is really tricky, especially when we're all working from home now, right? But your morning ritual should be something that's very sacred. Okay. It might be something, and I'll tell you my morning ritual, which is that I went and got an oldie fashioned clock. So my phone is not even in my room. And I wake up to the sound of my clock. Actually, now I'm kind of trained, so I just wake up. And before I even get out of bed, I like try to think about like, what is this day going to be? How am I going to like, what is the most important thing for me to do? Now, at that point, I wake up, I go downstairs, make my coffee. I don't turn on any other electronics at this point, and I do just a really fast journal. And in that journal, I identify what is the most important thing for me to accomplish in the day. Now, the reason that I do that is because I had a very long 25 plus year career where the to-do lists were a little out of control, and it was very difficult to identify like what was the most important thing, right? And then you look back and you're like, okay, where did those 20 years go? What did I do? You know, and that's not fun. So I think about like, all right, this morning it was, I'm going to connect with my son over breakfast. I'm like, I'm going to do my best to talk to him before he runs off to school. So it's like taking control of that idea of like, what is important to me today? And then the to-do list can come, right? And I don't log on to work until I'm ready to log on to work. Okay. And so what that meant for me was starting a new habit that meant I wasn't going to jump into whatever I was doing or jump into taking care of other people until I had really given myself a lovely morning ritual. Some people love to read in the morning. Some people do morning journals. Some people color in the morning. Some people call their moms in the morning. Whatever it is that will make you feel the most nourished, take control of it. And I'm going to just, not in this, I don't have this in the slide, but I'm going to say the same thing about your bedtime ritual. Like little kids get a lot of little kids, not all, get bedtime rituals, right? And we as adults need them as well. All right, my second idea. Schedule you first. So what this comes from is the fact that a lot of us have multiple calendars running at the same time, right? We might have a work calendar, we might have a family calendar, we might have our personal calendar. I personally have a digital and a paper because I can't let go of the paper calendar, and I won't. But I started to notice as a yoga teacher, there were certain people who showed up to practice religiously, regularly. And I got very curious over the years, like what were those people doing that was different from people who would maybe come sporadically? And the answer was very simple, and it seems like a no-brainer, but it was that the people who showed up regularly put it on their schedule as something that is non-negotiable. So in the beginning of any given week, I actually do this on Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, is I look at the week and I say, all right, yoga is important to me. When am I going to go to class? And then I sign up for the class. So it's a commitment. It's a commitment I make to myself. It's a commitment I make to my family. It's a commitment I make to my health. And it's more important than anything else. And it's a practice, let me tell you, because you'll learn really quickly when you have that time blocked off to learn, like to say, oh, that's just yoga. It's not important. But you can't do that. That's one of the tricks, right? Is that you have to say it's just as important as anything else is. Second, or I guess I'm on my third one now. I didn't number these. All right, so this I have to tell you is one of my favorite practices. And some people go into massive panic when I talk about unplugging, and other people are like, oh yeah, I always do this. It used to be if you are in a religious tradition, that a lot of religious traditions say like, all right, we're gonna like take 24 hours out of every week and not do our normal technical things, not our TV or not our phone, or it could be a Sunday. It could be a weekday if you work on the weekends, right? Doesn't matter when. But one of the practices that I really feel helps is to unplug yourself. You don't necessarily have to unplug your devices, but unplug yourself from technology. I started this off as a Sunday ritual, and I was like, all right, I'm going to spend my Sundays taking care of what's important to me, my health, my family, cooking, reading, napping, all of the things that I love. And I'm not going to go online. And I had anxiety in the beginning because I thought, what am I missing? What if somebody wants to get me? But the truth of the matter is, if it was important enough, someone told me that it happened. And somehow people do get in touch with you if they need you, right? But unplugging one day a week makes me feel like, oh yeah, I'm living. This is great. I have actually extended this now, and I'm pretty unplugged for Friday afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday, which means that when I get to, start working on Monday, I got to like jump back into it. But that unplugging allows me to remember what is important to me and to take really good care of myself. If you can't unplug for an entire day, even a morning, even if you say, all right, from 6 a.m. to noon on a Saturday, no phone, no internet, no TV. I still like music, so I still listen to music, but just really allow your brain the opportunity to downshift a little bit. Let's do the next one. All right, so another controversial sort of activity, and not everybody can take a walk every day, but what my suggestion is do something simple, like taking a walk, or if you're not a walker, if you take a roll, or you get yourself outside every single day, you will notice a drastic improvement in your health. Many of you know, if you read my website, like I lost 100 pounds of weight, and the only exercise I did during that time was walking. And the idea behind take a walk every day is not to power walk 100 miles or 10 miles, right? It's that every day you do something. So taking a walk, whether it's a 10-minute walk, or whether it's out to the end of your driveway and back, or whether it's, a conversation that you're having while you're walking with a friend, it allows you to get out of your own head and look at the world around you a little bit. And that perspective really helps those of us who struggle with anxiety, stress, even depression, when you don't feel like walking. Taking a walk every day. If I was a doctor, and I am absolutely not a doctor, but if I could, write everybody a prescription, this would be the prescription. I have seen more of the people that I work with transform their lives, transform their physical, mental, and spiritual health by committing to take even a small walk every single day. All right, next one. So I love when people say, "Oh, just say no." And here I am, I'm going to say it. Just say no. But if you are the kind of person who prides yourself on being helpful, or being friendly, or wanting to please people, or just wanting to do a lot, right? My suggestion in terms of self-care is to really know what you want to say yes to and what is too much. I learned this from a dear friend of mine who has no problem setting boundaries. If you ask for help, or you ask her to do something, if she has the bandwidth to do it, she will. But if she doesn't, or it's not good for her, she will say, "I'm sorry, no." And the first time that she did that, I was like, "What do you mean no? Like, what do you mean you're not going to do what I'm asking you to do?" It felt like I had this moment of like, indignation, I guess. But the thing was, I was also amazed at how easy it was for her to just be like, no. Wasn't easy for me to start saying no. So here was my trick. My trick is I never commit to anything immediately. So if somebody asks me, "Hey, can you bring in 50 cupcakes for the PTO meeting tomorrow?" My normal gut reaction is, "Of course, I'll do that," even though I don't cook, and I don't, have time, and I, really don't want to bring a bunch of, ugly gas station cupcakes to class, right? But the thing that I've learned to say is not even no, but let me get back to you on that. Let me get back to you on that gives you space. And in that space, you can decide, is this something that I have bandwidth for, I want to do, or is this something that I'm feeling obligated to do, and that actually is going to cause me more stress? So saying no when you're healthy and feeling good is kind of hard, because you feel like you've got a lot of abundance. But when you are sick, or you're worn down, or you're depressed, it's sometimes there's just no way. Like, no is no. And most of the time people will kind of understand that. But when you hold your own boundary, right, that to me is like empowerment. I'd love to help make cupcakes, but this is a really bad week for me. I'm sorry, I can't do it this time, right? Taking care of what's important to me. Okay. All right, let's do the next one. All right, so this is, I think this is one of my favorite practices, but it's also the one that I'm going to say I fall off of a lot and have to remind myself about. So I'm calling this practice managing your own energy. And, what does that mean? It's a little woo-woo, right? But there's a couple things I can tell you to get an example, or to give you an example. I used to be kind of addicted to the morning news. So I would, again, wake up, look at my phone, see what was going on, crawl out of bed, turn on the TV, and immediately be bombarded with whatever was going on in the world. Many of you probably feel this way, right? It's like, I want to know. I want to know what's happening. Well, I'm lucky to be old enough to remember life before 24-hour news and life now. And one of the things that I realized is that when I do that, when I sit in front of the news, I become immediately anxious. Like my heart starts to rate. It's almost like I go into fight or flight, depending on the news, right? Very rarely do they say, oh, everyone's doing real well, right? It's always like the first 15 minutes of any newscast, right, is the most horrible, awful, sensationalistic news there is. And so what I found was I didn't need that. And I still wanted to feel like I was in the know. So I chose the sources that I was getting my news from that made me feel like I was in control. So just having it blaring in the background while I do my morning routine or have breakfast was an energy leak for me. It was just like, oh, I'm starting the day just feeling already kind of like, I don't know, like with, I don't know, like I think maybe trying to think of the best word, maybe helpless or maybe discouraged, not the way I want to start the day, right? Another example of managing your own energy is we all have people in our lives. I would say all of us. I'm going to say probably all of us, where there's a person or family member or neighbor or just being that when you're around them, you can feel them kind of sucking the energy out of you. Often they're called energy vampires. And it's not necessarily that, they're bad people or that they are trying to take from you, but for whatever reason, they just make you feel depleted and exhausted and overwhelmed. So putting boundaries around those relationships really can help you kind of keep your energy in. Unfortunately, that's not always easy, right? It's not easy, especially if that person is a family member or someone that your boss or a coworker, but it's not impossible, right? It's just learning how to excuse yourself or to turn off Facebook notifications or to unfriend people or whatever it is that you need to do to take the best care of yourself. Okay. I know that social media is a very important tool for many people, but it is also full of energy vampires that just want to pull you kind of out of your life and into this dark hole of argument that is pointless and not going to go anywhere, right? So it's easy, in a talk like this to be like, yeah, manage your own energy. But this one is it's really important. It's really challenging. And I really hope that if you consider this, that you'll start small, right? Just notice where you feel your energy just kind of go. Ugh. In the very beginning of the pandemic, the grocery store, every time I walked into the grocery store, I felt like I could feel the collective anxiety of everybody around me. I was noticing like, oh, that lady's touching the grapes. Why is she touching the grapes? And I'm getting myself all agitated, right? Not a good use of my energy. So it's like, notice those places where you're like, ugh. Now, if you're finding that your energy is zapped completely from, your family or your work or something that you can't escape easily, just start to notice, is there one little baby thing you can do? One small movement away from the energy that drains you and towards energy that makes you feel good. One other example of managing your own energy that I just want to give you that combines a couple of these is oftentimes I do meetings by walking with somebody. So energetically, right, we're walking next to each other, facing forward. So difficult conversations sometimes happen easier. I'm also getting my walk in, so that's good for my health. And even if the meeting isn't awesome, I still have the benefit of being outside and taking a walk, right? So it's like combining all of the things together, right, to manage how you feel in any given day. All right, let's do the next one, Hannah. All right, so simplify and slow down. So part of the I'm going to say the good part, and I'm doing this in big air quotes, right, of the pandemic happening, is that a lot of us had to kind of put on the brakes. And it wasn't good in terms of like, I didn't get to do a lot of the things I wanted to do, but it was good because it made me realize how I was rushing around and not necessarily moving forward anywhere in my life. And so taking stock in what am I doing on a daily basis that's over complex or multi-stepped or causes me to have to, engage a lot of different people. I have this here as an example of grocery shopping. Okay, I loathe the grocery shopping. I always have, I always will. I don't know why. It's just a thing. For me, going to the grocery store and getting food causes me stress and anxiety, and it makes me feel icky. So when all of a sudden you could get grocery delivery or even grocery pickup, my life changed dramatically. It was one simplification that I could do that allowed me to kind of release some of that anxiety. Okay. The slowing down part, right, is combining these other practices. When you go for a walk or you do something that makes you feel nourished, all right, that allows you to kind of realize all of the things that do not matter, right? Things that maybe you can take away from your life, right? So self-care isn't always about doing. Oftentimes it's about not doing, right? It's about undoing. And so just noticing, oh, when I do my Unplug Sunday and I spend some time with people I love outside, slows everything in my whole system down. And that reboots me, that gives me energy to be able to spend Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Okay, so it's a very high level thing to say slow down, but notice, where are you rushing around? How can you get help? How can you ask for support, right? How can you simplify? All of these things are going to be different for everybody, but asking for what you need, managing your time and your energy, again, no one else is going to give you permission. I'm giving you permission, but for the most part, everyone else is worrying about other stuff. And so I really want you to know that it is important to your health and important to your wellness and important just to your sense of being a human to allow yourself to simplify and to slow everything down a little bit. Okay. Part of the pandemic for me was realizing that when we slow down, we really didn't miss very much. It's not like that, like there's a whole bunch going on, right? Everyone was kind of in the same boat. Now that we're slower and we're coming back into society, I get to choose. Is it going to be good for me to go to a Badger game and scream and yell and like have all that energy? Or is it going to be better for me to lay on my couch and color and read a book and take a nap? You know, it's like I got to make that choice every day for me. All right. So, this is oh my gosh, I did it in 35 minutes. That's amazing. I wanted to just invite you to my website. It's joinrebelwellness.com. And one of the things I did during the pandemic was I was just feeling like everything was really negative and like wah, wah. So I created this little program. It's 30 days of love notes. It's completely free. You can sign up for it. And then for 30 days, consecutive days, you get a little email with a little love note in it from me. And it is about self-care. It's about taking time to smell the flowers. It's just a little reminder. And it's, I hope, just a little present for you to remember how important you are, right? You are so important to so many people. And taking care of yourself, one of these ways might resonate with you, but there might be something else you need to do, is one of the best ways that you can practice preventative healthcare, right? When we get to the point where we're so diminished and so exhausted, it's impossible to have a strong, healthy immune system. It's when we get sleep and we have good food and we're nourished and we take care of our emotional needs, our mental health needs. That's when we have the equity. I always think of it as like a bank account, right? We have the emotional equity to be able to be helpful and loving and kind to other people in our lives or members of our community. So this is my little gift. If you're interested in it, it is there for you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for inviting me back to DreamBank. I miss seeing everybody in person, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity to just talk about this. And I know that we have some time for questions or comments, and I think Hannah is going to moderate that for me so I don't have to read quickly. Is that true?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, so one of the comments I wanted to share, Gwendolyn actually had a couple great ones. One of her self-care practices is seeing a therapist. She said it helps her a lot. And then she also said that she has a paper calendar that dates back to 1999.
Yes.
The historical documents are great. Let me see.
I just got to say, Gwendolyn, thumbs up on the paper calendar. And yes, I'm one of those people, I think that, therapy should be given to every single person in the world who needs it and wants it. It is really important, especially if you're struggling, to reach out and get help. There's nothing wrong. We're all going through this. So thank you for the reminder.
Mm-hmm. One of the questions we had was, do you have any tips on how to break up with your phone a little bit? How did you start doing that?
Yeah, I do. Breaking up with your phone is so hard, right? For me, okay, there's a couple things. Number one, the badges and notifications, turn them off. So one of the things, and the development of these apps, I know this was part of my life before this job, was developing interfaces and things. And part of the I don't know, addiction to it is that we see this little number pop up on our email or our text or whatever, and immediately we get a dopamine hit of like, ooh, what is that? Is that important? Right? So the first step that I took was to actually turn off all my notifications. So I can't see them unless I choose to go in there. The exception to that rule was text, because I had a kid and I wanted to make sure. But all of the social media ones, the email ones, like no notifications. And then just to put boundaries around time. So we know, like, how many of you guys fall asleep with your phone on your face or your iPad or your computer, right? And so for me, it's like after dinner is no phone time for me. I might check one time before I go to bed, but not right before I go to bed. And so you just set up these boundaries for yourself, right? I don't look at my phone until 8 o'clock in the morning, right? And depending on your job and what you can do, you can be really good about saying, hey, I am available to answer emails between 8 and 5, right? I got so kind of regimented that I got to the point where I only check emails a couple times a day. And then I can be focused and get back to people. Nobody even noticed when I did that, by the way. Mm-hmm. And then I also think if it gets to be that your phone is really a problem, take the apps off. So nobody wants to hear this, but if you find that whenever you're stressed, you go right to your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever it is, take the app either off the phone or put it in the back so you have to actively scroll to it and make an effort. Okay, you want to get out of the automatic, just mm-hmm. click, because then the technology is controlling you. You're not controlling it, and it's designed to control you. I won't get on that soapbox, but
I know I've heard it on the news as well. Yeah. Okay, Jenny had a really good question, and this might be a little bit personal, so you don't have to answer. But she said, "Did I hear that you battled cancer? What did you come out of that journey with?"
Yeah, all of this. It's that journey was for me. It's horrible to get sick. Like it's horrible. There's a couple of things though that I really learned, and just recently I had I've been in remission from everything I've been struggling with for a while, but just recently I had to go back and have a scan done just to make sure that everything's okay. And I went into the hospital at 5:45, and there are two types of people at University Hospital at 5:45. Okay, there are really sick people who are getting in, and there are students and doctors, right? So it's like they're really healthy and they're really not healthy, right? What I learned is that at the end of the day, Western medicine, like, it saved my life. It is really helpful, really important, but it's not set up to help you stay healthy. It's really kind of set up to help you fix a problem. And so all of the doctors that I have worked with have always said, okay, so we can do this from a medicine standpoint, but this is what you have to do from a lifestyle standpoint. If mm-hmm. you don't change your life, if you don't stop doing some of the things that are draining your energy or not nourishing your body, you're not going to have the quality of life you want. And that's a really hard pill to swallow. Forget, the pun there, but it's really realizing that they can't do it for you. Like, they can't make you 100% better. They can help. They can do amazing things, amazing technologies. But at the end of the day, I was the one that had to change. I had to stop doing things that were not good for me. And again, that's different for everybody, right? But it's like taking that responsibility is what cancer taught me, right? Not that mm-hmm. we cause our illness or that we are, that there's some, like, it's like a punishment for something, but that once you get through an illness, it's easy to be like, "Ooh, I'm through it. I'm going right back to the way I was before." And then life will come and kick your butt again. So mm-hmm. it's, that's kind of what it taught me. It was like, all right, life is short. It's precious, and it's not fun when you're sick. And many of you can understand that. So taking all of these steps to enjoy your life when you are well, that's it. That's everything.
I love that answer, and definitely something I take to heart after hearing, your first talk at DreamBank and now this talk. Now I can definitely see the ways that you've grown over this past year, which is really fantastic to see. I think we have time for maybe one more question. So this question is, of the 7 self-care tips, what was the hardest one for you to commit to and why?
Wow, that's a great question. First of all, I'm going to say all of them are hard. Like it makes me feel like, especially when I whip through them, like, oh yeah, just do this, 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 and everything's going to be okay. They all at different times have brought me to my knees. I would say developing the habits are the hardest part. So taking a walk every day in January, February, March, April of Wisconsin winter, not fun. I didn't enjoy it, right? Some days I would walk out to the end of the driveway and be like, this is ridiculously cold. I'm not doing this, right? So, but then realizing that my brother walks every day for his health. He lives in Minneapolis, and he would laugh at me. Right? He'd be like, what are you talking about? You don't know cold. You don't know snow. Like, get over yourself, I think it's very easy to fall back into old habits. And so like any sort of habit creation needs accountability. And the truth of it is it needs to be fun. So what makes my walk fun? For me, it's listening to a podcast or having a talk with a friend or anything I can do to distract myself from the walk. I'm doing that, right? Other days I'm like, oh, I can just enjoy this beautiful, the arboretum or the sky or the fact that, we have fresh air. All of that's, a beautiful, wonderful thing. So I will tell, I've struggled with every single one of the practices, but the difference between me now and me prior to these practices is that now I realize, like, I'm not looking for perfect. Like, that doesn't happen. Perfect is, it doesn't exist. I'm looking for consistency and compassion, like being kind to myself, right? It's really easy to be like, oh, I suck. I didn't take my walk today, so they're all over, right? But if you're able to say, okay, today was not a great day for self-care. Tomorrow, it's a priority, right? And then actually following up.
Well, Katie, I think that is all the questions we have for you today. And I just wanted to say thank you again from the bottom of my heart for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us and to share all of these really practical and tangible self-care tips with all of us in our DreamBank community. I know I really appreciate it and always learn so much when you come and share on our thing, and just I feel like you always provide this really good wake up call for me to be like,
yeah,
Hannah,
it's never new information. It's not like, oh, here's the trick, right? But it's just y'all know it, right? It's just practicing and being nice to yourself. And I'm so grateful, Hannah, for the time and for everybody who made an effort to show up today. It means everything to me. And DreamBank for really, really believing in people and their dreams. What you do is so important. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And then I think there were like a couple questions about if this is going to be recorded. Yes, it will be recorded and available on our Facebook page immediately after the event. So the slides will be up there too, I believe. So, and then also by the end of the week, it should be up on our DreamBank YouTube page as well. So if you wanted to rewatch it, share with a friend, please feel free to. Otherwise, that is all we have for everyone this week. Wanted to say thank you again to everyone who tuned in to join in on this fabulous presentation by Miss Katie Hill. I put her website in the link, so if you wanted to check that out, please feel free to. Otherwise, we will see you next Wednesday for some tips on how to can your vegetables. So wanted to say thank you. I know, it'll be a really good one. Thank you again to everyone, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Okay.